insightful. My work we have taken to a different domain from psychology to sociology. So I took 3 institutions in that paper, the institution of government policy, and I made an inference that if you take communism will appeal at the grassroots level. To create an analog, I said take a hungry tiger. I come from India, so why not talk about tiger rather than lion or some other animal? And a hungry tiger, you give a choice. You are hungry, I will feed you, but you have to be in a cage. Or capitalism, there's a whole vast jungle or a forest of opportunities. You can make a killing, and you can actually kill so much, you can store it on the tree. Killing is livelihood, storing is wealth creation. If I'm hungry at that time, which choice will I make? I will definitely go toward communism. And then figure out how to break the barrier or the cage, how to escape from the cage as my needs rise. That appealed to, during the hottest areas of anti-communism in America, School of International Affairs loved the paper because I was talking about collapse of communism eventually. As the needs rise, you satisfy the basic job security, and and then basically people will rebel against the system, and they wanted any propaganda possible. So I was supposed to go into PhD in international affairs and be part of the diplomatic corps or think tank or something like that. I took the same theory to our religion, another institution. At the grassroots level, only appeal God has, whoever is the God, is that God will protect you. So in emerging economies or lower segments in America, God loves you has no meaning. Keep that in the comment. I call it Tirupati Balaji syndrome. If you are from India, you will know masses of people go there, sacrifice themselves to protect them from any calamity. Please make sure my child is okay. There is no outside, gods are blessing me, etc. But once my needs are satisfied by other institutions like government or labor unions, safety, security, now I have to change the religion to say God loves you. But it has more implications, which is happening surprisingly. This is a 61 paper, 1961. Now my love and affection needs are satisfied. God loves you has no meaning anymore. In the first 2 stages, an institution is an asset on my balance sheet. I'm an accountant, so I have to think about balance sheet. At the 3rd stage, institution becomes a liability. So I rebel against the institution to simply say, why are you asking me to do this? Why are you doing this? Rituals, etc. So now you have to shift toward God is with you. God is in you. And by the way, all Western countries are shifting toward that one now. Have you seen that in the US alone there are 6 million practicing Buddhists, all born Christian? Worldwide it's 10 million. They don't find any satisfaction in their own churches because they have remained traditional. So people are moving on. That's very interestingly. So I did that thing, and ultimately you have to say God is you, which is a totally radical thought, and religious leaders will never agree to that because they lose their power. Every institution has a power. In the business world, the same thing. At the early stages, theory X, what I studied heavily in OB area, management, it appeals to you, I can abuse the worker like a chauffeur or a driver, keep them 12 hours, and I enjoy my life at a coffee shop or a restaurant, etc. Let his family be damned. He so depends on that livelihood and the family survivor, he will do anything for you. Well, it's a Mexican migrant worker or a factory worker before the laws came into place. So theory X was shifted to theory Y, right? He is a human being as a factory worker. Please treat him with respect, dignity, as a family. Engage. All the HR guys will be taught to practice theory Y. Now theory Y is obsolete, which is what I'm doing a lot of work, theory U. And therefore in that paper I said giving stock options to people who are barely surviving makes no sense. They don't want any future promises. They want present reality. But stock options become important as you migrate to the higher needs, like the Silicon Valley guys. And that worked very well. So people were intrigued with that paper, and Maslow predicted. And I also mentioned that the stages of the needs, the duration, persistent is not the same. Love and affection is a very short stage. Self-esteem, independence is a long stage before self-actualization, and safety, survival is a long stage, which means transitions are not equal. He had no idea about that, interestingly. So again, there is another person who is a top thinker, very influential in academic world. All of us study that person, is willing to learn. So unless you have an obsession to learn, and again, I know time running short, my scavenging is very different. I became more scholarly in my scavenging only after I joined the doctoral program. 2 years I was at Columbia University in the stacks. I still have x-rays of my lungs, like a coal miner, remember, who has a dark lung. I have mold in my lung, okay, because libraries have mold in those days. Now they preserve better. I'm joking about that. But I spent almost 8-9 hours a day, 6 days a week, simply scavenging books across disciplines to build the theory of buyer behavior, which is probably more integrative and more comprehensive than any other theory in the marketing we have so far developed. And I've developed other theories, interestingly. My scavenging, however, began in Chennai, which is a city I grew up, in a place called Moore Market. Some of you are from Chennai, where you will get handicrafts and used books. My favorite character was Perry Mason. How many of you know Perry Mason? I love murder mysteries. Agatha Christie, for example. Or Stanley Gardner. And these are used books, paperbacks. You know, I don't know how much I paid, but I would go out, and I had a collection of about 120 of his writings books. This guy was a method producer, a factory worker. All Stanley Gardner had 3 people. I finally figured out who he is, somewhere in California, and every 4 months he cranked up a new book. He was as prolific but good. He was a storyteller, weaving around. I like the storytelling, weaving around, which is why movies appeal to me now a lot more than ever before. It's back to that. So my scavenging began in being primarily mystery books. But now it is all about scholarship, which is fascinating. So my summary and the lessons I've learned is that be flexible. Opportunism is a good concept. And I know I'm taking time, but this is one thing I would mention. I have always liked to challenge prevailing wisdom. When there's a consensus generalization, I say there must be an alternate perspective, like the incident about literacy and housewife shopping. So I've always done that thing. Look at another perspective. Maybe there's another perspective out there. You don't know. And maybe that perspective is superior to the one that we have so far, because prevailing wisdom is context-bound. And context may change as we are talking about the digital technology. So what I'm suggesting is that one of the areas that we have, Western world has criticized traditional practices. If you go back to those practices, one of them I'm very passionate about is superstition. So I've done research on I believe superstition is good. We poo-poo that to be scientific researchers. So I did research. Who is the most superstitious person in the world? What do you think? What occupation comes to mind that everybody in the, second. Politicians is third, actually. Movie stars is much. Sports. That's universal, every athlete. So you say, why all sports personalities, all well become superstitious, basketball, football, etc. And I found this very fascinating. Superstition basically gets you into the zone. It's association way of creating learning and energy. One day you did so well, you never expected to publish a paper in the top journal, you published it, so you begin to say, oh, something happened. What was it? Maybe the pen I was using was right. Maybe the corner where I sat was okay. I go through that ritual even now. I can only write in one corner. I still have a pen. If I lose this pen, I think I lost my life. Now what does superstition do? It gives you an inner energy. There is so much of internal potential we simply do not leverage. We breathe so slowly. If you do deep breathing, same thing, deep academic thing, you get more excellence out of you. So getting into the zone, the athlete will tell you, I never imagined I will do so well on the basketball court or football. It just happened. Well, it's because he got into the zone. Second most superstitious people are entrepreneurs. Because success often is by accident. Now somebody has to explain. They can't say, gods were blessing me, nobody will invest in you. So you have this spin, rationalization. The press even rationalizes more for you. They make you bigger than God. Very interesting. He must be a superhero. Warren Buffett is a genius. Steve Jobs, no better inventor or thinker like him. The press amplifies who you are, and sometimes it becomes self-fulfilling. As a scholar, that's the most dangerous thing that will ever happen. When you begin to believe that what you have done, nobody can do better than you. So the more the publications you do, humility is important. Because next time, that circumstance may not happen, and you will fail. Very few entrepreneurs succeed twice. And they know it happened accidentally. So I'm doing research on entrepreneurship, and I say, all right, if you believe in superstition, something happened. Have you seen the movie called Chauncey the Gardener, Peter Sellers? I show in my classes. He's an ordinary gardener, illiterate guy, suddenly becomes the most famous thinker. The question is, it's a great movie. It shows you superstition and its power. So please believe in superstition. Don't tell your advisor. Choose an advisor who wants to learn from you. Don't replicate his or her work. That's a quick, short fix. You will plateau in 5-7 years if you do that thing, because you have lost your own curiosity why you went into the academic world. And the only thing you can preserve and continue through practice like physical exercise and diet, daily or ritual like, meditation, is independent thinking of your own. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have outstanding presenters here, from Professor Rajan Vadrajan to Professor Indra Parikh to Professor Sheth. There was one thing which is common amongst all three of them. They all pursued with passion pearls of wisdom. More than knowledge, they have developed wisdom. So something to learn from them, and also to learn from them that success can happen to you in your entire life journey. Don't ever only look at it now, look at it in the entire journey. With that, let me bring this session to the close, because we've got another session coming up. Thank you all for being in the audience, and thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask them later on outside. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have a session which is on Women's Path to Excellence, Transformative Leadership. So just when I was writing an introduction to this session yesterday, I wasn't sure how to address this topic, because being a research scholar in the topic that I research on, my research makes me look away, or rather look into depth and question the habitual presumptions that are rooted in gender essentialism. I'm sure many of us in this room believe that capabilities and capacities are gender agnostic. But then again, my new year began with the news from the state that I hail from, Kerala, where millions of women stood shoulder to shoulder, creating a human chain of almost 300 miles long to uphold the rights of secularism and equality. We would rather have women deities, inside the temple rather than anywhere in the premises of the Sanctum Sanctorum. As I was struggling through this muddle, I realized there is a reason why this conversation around this topic is so pertinent and crucial even today. And we couldn't have asked for a better panel of members and, of course, a better moderator. Without further ado, I request our Dean, Dr. Preeti Shroff, to kindly take over and to felicitate our panel members of the day with a memento as a token of our appreciation. So I'd request ma'am to kindly felicitate the members first. We'll call them on stage.
First panel or second?
Second panel.
Okay, all right. Good morning, welcome, and welcome to 21st Century. It's going to be all women panel. We are quite used to all male panel for centuries, so I just wanted to remind you that we are entering a new era. I've been asked to welcome everyone. So would you like me to give them gifts first? Okay. Sorry? So I would like to invite Dr. Indira Parikh. Please come on stage. So delighted to welcome Mallika Sarabhai. Meenakshi Menon, thank you for taking the time to come and be in Ahmedabad. Please come on. And Professor Renana Pierce, I'm looking for her. Where she is? Ah, she is here. From Israel Hebrew University.